Devon in Kentucky. Devon in Kentucky says sex work is not work. Devon, you are on the line with Jimmy and Adalind.
What's up, guys? Thanks for taking the call.
Hell yeah. So I think you should start with what's your definition of work?
Okay, so I was hoping I'd be able to ask you questions at first, but we can go this route too. And correct me if I'm wrong, but work and job, these are phrases that people use to describe things that people do for gainful employment, correct?
Yeah.
I think it maybe labor in exchange to live, to contribute. I don't know. It has to be for gainful employment, because I feel like that opens up a semantic argument.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you say work, you don't mean gainful employment. You don't mean doing something for money.
No, I do mean doing something for money, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but work or jobs, things that you do for money, things that are going to be getting regulated by the government, there at least seems to be a direct benefit to society, or at least a net benefit to society with that job existing.
Disagree.
Would you guys let me say that?
You can say it. I disagree.
Okay, so you would disagree that
that's inherent to all jobs?
I mean, that seems to be the way things work most of the time. If a job has too much of a negative effect on the general public or whatever, it's going to have a hard time being legalized. At least that's the argument people will use to keep something illegal.
I think you're speaking in sort of broad generalizations that no, I wouldn't agree with the nuance. I think most jobs, first of all, I don't think you can actually find that prostitution is a net negative to society. But I think most jobs, if you're saying society just to mean your very most local community, that would be fine, I guess, enough. But when you're talking about something like prostitution, you'd have to have, hang on, prostitution, you have to have whatever net negative you are claiming, and you're going to need to lay that out, would have to then be larger than the benefits we see. One, its contribution to taxes, so it being a very like an actual civil benefit, and then everything else that comes with it, that there are people who get a very positive experience out of prostitution, and especially in legal situations, that it can be very mentally and emotionally uplifting for a person if they don't have, for example, a religious background that commits them to terrible shame and the like.
Yeah, I was going to say I can think of lots of ways that sex work in general, not prostitution specifically, but still including prostitution, benefits a lot to society.
We're probably going to go tit for tat in that regard, though, because you're going to name something that, okay, well, I don't think you're going to argue that participating in sex work has it doesn't have a 0% chance of leading to things like depression and feelings of isolation, different mental disorders. Like people that have participated in sex work for
have you heard of
long periods of time have.
Yeah, literally, can you describe something that doesn't just describe every job? Because we haven't made all jobs illegal for that same reason.
Well, we're not talking about working at Walmart, though. We're talking about
no, we are. In a way, we are. You're saying you're defending the negative of it, and you're basically just saying like, oh, but there are these negative things that could be. It's not a 0% chance. Since when do we make it illegal if there's a 0% chance that a prostitute or a client will be depressed when we don't do that for literally working in minimum wage at any job? No matter the job, I will go put forth that you are probably a more psychological mental health risk working minimum wage for any job than working as a prostitute.
You just stated what's probably the actual issue. You kind of hinted at this earlier with another caller, that a lot of what leads to what people consider crime is poverty and lack of education, lack of opportunity. So if you're going to fix issues like street crime, one of the best ways to fix it is at a systemic level and making sure that people have arguably better, however you want to phrase it, options other than committing the street crimes. I just feel like with sex work, you're taking people's reaction to poverty and you're just making it legal as opposed to trying to fix the poverty. Because, like you said before, somebody working a minimum wage job can suffer depression and PTSD related to working said job. That is true, but I think even that is connected to how much they're getting brutally underpaid. I don't think,
have you heard of the military?
Right. You're just going longer. You're just sort of adding more words that don't change. You haven't shown why it's negative, and our positions don't change. Okay, great. Also, take care of people. Make sure that people don't turn to jobs they may or may not want to do because they have those options. Do both. But there are countries where they have better social programs, better welfare programs, better safety net programs, and there are still prostitutes and people who like being prostitutes, right? So, like,
and you definitely haven't supported.
I haven't even gotten to that part yet.
I know. And you also haven't gotten closer to answering, as Adalind just pointed out, why sex work isn't work.
I actually did. I named a negative, and then you just said, well, other jobs have that negative too. I didn't claim that prostitution is the only thing that has these negatives. You told me that. But the negative is also
supposed to be, right. The negative is supposed to be related to it's illegal, and you were saying it's not gainful employment or it's not a job. This is your total thesis is sex work isn't work. And we were talking about why it be illegal, therefore not considered gainful employment. And you went with negative that we don't make other things illegal based on.
Well, I only got to list one thing.
Okay. So are you going to now go with why it isn't work or why it is a negative and should be illegal?
Well, that kind of ties in. So the fact that there's a bunch of negative aspects about it is the reason why it should actually be illegal. Like, for instance, in America, there's already places
that is exclusive to sex work and would not apply to.
It doesn't have to be exclusive.
Yes, it does. Unless you were saying you would legalize the other jobs too.
No, because those other jobs are different things. Stocking a shelf is not having sex with somebody for money. Those are not the same two things.
And yet, I'm going to blow your mind, Devon. For some people, having sex for money would be more enjoyable or more acceptable a job than having sex for money. So I don't think the person who doesn't want to stock a shelf should be forced to. But in our society, they very much are, nor do I believe a person who doesn't want to have sex for money should be forced to. This is a completely different point for should it be illegal for two consenting adults to have sex if money is present?
Okay, so you said something about fun, like how fun it is.
Sure.
Yeah, you said it. Okay, so is that the line of if you can get paid to do something, as long as it's fun for both people, it should be legal?
Devon, what point did I just make to you? And please respond to it, and then I'll answer yours. Because if you would actually listen to what I just said.
Oh, my God.
No, oh, my God, indeed, Devon, you didn't listen. The response I just made, if you watched it in reverse, you'd still be weirded out. It's like I made a point, and then you made something that goes out of its way to prove you didn't listen to the point. Can you repeat to me the point I made and the question I followed up with?
Your point is that two consenting adults, if they want to do something where there's an exchange of money, they should be allowed, because that's actually better in some cases than somebody being in a situation where they are basically forced to do something they don't want to do for money, like stock shelves or something.
Thank you for proving you didn't listen. You took several pieces of different words that I said over the course of the point and tried to make it into a new one. It's not far from, but it wasn't the point I made or the question I asked you.
Okay, I did answer a question. The question was name something negative. I named something negative, and instead of you saying, yes,
actually,
that is a negative of the job, you pointed to another job.
Adalind heard it. Adalind heard it and just repeated it for you. I didn't just say name something negative. I said name something negative exclusive to sex work that wouldn't apply to other jobs.
Yeah, and then I said it doesn't have to be exclusive. There can be many negative things about this activity.
And then I said it does. And then I said it does, because if you wanted to legalize other jobs upon that basis, there is no consistent way to legalize prostitution. Right, then come with the basis that is exclusionary. Devon, then lead with that.
You're saying, wait.
Devon, chill. I'm going to teach you how to debate.
But that's not going to work.
Devon, I'm going to teach you how to debate. Devon, if you'll wait for a second, I'll teach you how to debate. Rather than keep making points that aren't exclusively relevant and don't make your point because it's easy to point to, well, here's the category of that thing by which your standard does not apply, so why would you move it to that? Rather than do that, rather than focus on these things that don't matter, offer your strongest basis that is exclusionary, and you'll win if it is both sound and valid. If you want, you could present it in the form of a syllogism. Would that be the way you would prefer? Then we can get straight to it.
Yeah. See, that's the trick. You're wanting me to answer a question that isn't actually a framing that I need to use. Something doesn't have to be exclusively bad for its own reason to be something that should be illegal. It can share negative qualities with other things. It can even share qualities with other things that are legal.
So, Devon, now let me go ahead and restate it in a way. Hang on, no, Devon, you just made your point. I'm going to mute you so you can't help yourself, and we only have 7 minutes left. I never said that, and you just repeated my point back to me wrong. You are quite correct. Thing A can be illegal and thing B legal. And there can be, just because it shares qualities doesn't mean it should also be illegal. But you do have to have an exclusionary quality to justify that it's illegal. So you can say, look, A and B both have 1, 2, and 3 in common, but A should be illegal and B should be legal. But you can't do it on the basis of 1, 2, and 3. You need to tell us what number 4 is that the other one doesn't have to make it illegal. If they are otherwise the same, it is not consistent. So now we'll unmute you. You've been a little bit educated here. Again, if you prefer to stick to very straightforward, we can perform just pure syllogisms. We can go to syllogisms only if you like, but it's been explained to you now. So please give the exclusionary quality that differs between prostitution and other form of work that is the reason why it should be illegal, even as other things it has in common with are legal.
Because morally it has a negative effect on society.
Because what?
Wow.
Because morally it has a negative effect on society, yes.
By whose standard?
By the standards of how things turn out whenever you have
by whose standards? How do we declare that it is a moral negative? Who decides that it's morally negative?
I'm not a religious person, so for me, it's...
Clearly you are.
It goes... no, I am a super atheist. I don't believe in God at all. I think our religions are stupid, and they actually lead to most of what's wrong with the world.
Devon, I didn't say you're not an atheist. Super atheist is weird. You either do or don't believe God exists. There's no super version of it. But clearly you have fallen.
What I mean, man.
But clearly you have fallen for a morality presented by Christians and have yet to present a secular argument for why it would be immoral. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, Devon, you are clearly falling for Christian patriarchy.
Moral is in a negative effect on society. It's immoral because the overall effect does not move society forward in a positive way.
Sure about that?
That's how I view things.
I feel like
that's just how I view what's right or wrong.
In a positive aspect.
Right. So Devon, you have an actual prostitute here who can tell you, well, I've been a part of the experience where
before. That doesn't change
the sex
anything.
they are having
I've been a part of the experience too.
Okay. You've had a what experience?
I've been a part of it too. I've done sex work too before. Yes, I've done it before. So that
great.
There's going to be people that have done it that are going to have a happy-go-lucky view of it, but that doesn't mean that most of them do.
Oh, got it. So what you're saying is your anecdote won't be better than her anecdote. So what you have here is data that shows that countries which legalize prostitution and have a non-patriarchal view of it still are in decline correlated to the legalization of their prostitution. Because if clearly that would have to be the case you have to make here. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes,
great.
That is my point.
Which country would you like to point to?
With those other countries?
No, give me the data.
Well, this is where you guys. Well, no, this is where you guys can educate me. So I'm going to ask you a question. These countries that are legalizing
it. You made a claim. You will now support the claim and not try and do the I can just say it and then see if they can't answer my questions, presuming their counter to my satisfaction. Therefore, my claims that are purely emotional and patriarchal have not been debunked to my satisfaction. So I don't care about what questions you have for me. I care about the support of your claim, because you just said, when I said you'll be able to present data that countries that legalize it and do not have a patriarchal approach to it are still declining, in that it is directly correlated to the fact that their prostitution is legal. The next word out of your mouth was yes. So please present that data.
I was saying yes to the fact that I agree that countries that have legalized it are still having problems that are predicated to people committing that act.
Great,
that's what I was agreeing to. That's what.
Great, prove it.
What country?
You have the data. You were saying that her anecdote doesn't work because you have a counter anecdote. So you're going to go with data. Give us the data.
Well, yeah, but that's what I was trying to say. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, well, from what I've seen, because that's just my life experience.
Great. We have 90 seconds left before we have to end this call because the hour will be up. So are you ready to present the data, or is it still going to be more assertions based on you thinking things ought to be this way because I think this is true about morality, even though you have no demonstration? Do you have any kind of data you are going to be able to present? Let's just name the country. Name a country you know that is in decline because of the legalization of prostitution before we even get to the data.
Well, my claim was that if they have legalized it, they're going to be in decline because they have.
Great. Okay, great. Which country can you point to as that being the case? Because many of them have legalized it. Name one.
Okay, so I guess I would point to any country that's legalized it then.
Great, name one.
Like what?
Name one.
Any country that, do I have to name one?
No, not any country. Name one.
For what I'm saying to be not true?
Name one. You haven't researched this because you don't know of a single country.
I haven't.
Correct. No. You have to name one to prove that what you're saying is true on the basis that you have adequately researched it.
Okay,
America has not legalized prostitution. What are you talking about?
America has legal sex work in this country.
Now we're changing to sex work, not prostitution. And America has not decriminalized it. And in fact, in almost all 50 states,
about her participating in something that was legal.
That's not America. Those are specific counties. And even within there is limited licensing. And as Jesus Christ, Devon, you're bad at it. As Adalind has already pointed out, she is for decriminalization because the legalization comes with a whole bunch of other laws and stuff on top. If America's your example, you have failed, but the show now has to end because it's 6 o'clock. So I hope you call back another time because you did really, really, really bad. But if you'll do me a favor, Devon, before you go, will you just say you lost because of science and logic?
No, because that never happened, actually.
Well, say I lost. Say I lost because
I got interrupted a lot.
Lost, science and logic.
But we can call it a draw.
Oh, no. It wasn't a draw. You were utterly defeated, and it was embarrassing. That's cute. You are laying down on the ground, passed out, practically going, this one was a draw. Thank you, Devon. Have a good day. We'll call that one a draw. We did rock, paper, scissors. I played scissors. You played paper, and you went draw.
You couldn't even name a country.
Not one. Sorry if I talked a little too much on that last call, Adalind. I was getting real excited.
I was having a great time.